know I've been MIA, but I have a very, very important story time and tips that I want to share with anyone in the designer bag community that sells bags. I have all my important tips here. Today, we are at the Luxor head office in Irvine. Look how beautiful it is. And I was happy at first because I just came back from Mexico, but then I got upset because I'm gonna tell you guys a story time and why this is so important. I need you to save this video. I want you to subscribe if you're a collector of designer bags, because I do not want anyone else getting scammed. Our client got scammed and we hear the horror stories, so I decided to make a dedicated video to this, and I'm gonna highlight this story. So this guy right here, I'm gonna put the photo of him up. He is scamming women in Calgary, Toronto, Vancouver. So if you're in any of those areas, especially, please be aware of this guy, because here's the scam. Our client, who had friends that consigned with us, but she wanted to try consigning and selling her own item on her own ways, which is totally fine because then you don't have to pay the commission, but you just have to deal with kind of like that back and forth, and then you just have to worry about these things I'm gonna talk about right now, but I'm gonna give you tips because you're gonna sell with confidence later. How she got scammed was she listed her bag on Little Red Book, and Little Red Book is like the Asian kind of Instagram, and on WeChat, and then she got an inquiry that was ready to pay, and the guy says, can I pay with a bank draft, a certified bank draft? And people in Canada, we know certified bank drafts are normally good because you have to go to the bank teller to get that bank draft and then be issued that bank draft. And in the US, if you're anywhere else, they're called money orders. So it's not a personal check. So she felt very confident. She didn't want cash because this guy was also scamming other women, which we found out later, with fake counterfeit cash. So if you don't know how to detect cash, I'm gonna give you tips on that. But in this scenario, he gave a counterfeit bank draft. He made this client feel so confident that he said, I'm interested in your Chanel bag. It was a $7,000 Chanel bag. That's the worst part of it. And he says, yes, I'll meet you at the bank so that you can go deposit it, and then we can exchange the bag there. That's what the client did. The client felt so confident. She had her bag. She went to the teller. She deposited the bank draft. The teller deposited, and then she gave her $7,000 Chanel bag away. And this was in Calgary. So I guess, did the guy come down, fly down? I don't know, but it was worth it for $7,000 because this client is in Calgary. Then 7 days later, that bank draft bounced, left her account. Now she's in the, that money was deducted from the bank. If you had funds in there, it's gone. If you didn't have money in there, it's negative. But she already gave that bag away. She cannot find this guy anymore. But so she created a police report. That's how we were able to get that photo of him. They were at an HSBC, and what do you know? The police had multiple cases with this guy, a list of all these other victims that lost Rolexes. So men were scammed as well. There was other Chanel bags. There was even Hermes Birkin bags. So imagine $15,000. This guy is making bank drafts look so real, letting you deposit it at the bank teller. And the thing is with bank teller, I used to work at TD Bank, and we don't know what bank drafts are legitimate. We can look at it suspicious, but if you have a good relationship with the bank and you have lots of money in your bank and your funds can cover that bank draft, we might not put that bank draft on hold. We might let it clear, but that's when this bank draft looks so legitimate. The bank teller deposited not knowing it, and most of the time bank tellers don't call to verify the bank draft because it holds up the line. They sometimes just either put holds on it, or you just think it's good, but it's not good. And that's the scam that happened. So our client lost $7,000 and her bag. And this is how, all the tips I want to tell you guys, how you guys are going to prevent yourself from possibly being scammed if you choose to sell your expensive designer items or accessories. First is, if you want to accept a bank draft, you're going to ask them to go into the bank with you. And you need to watch them take out that bank draft at that bank teller, and just be careful they do a quick swap. So you have to physically see that, and then you will take that bank draft and go deposit it at your bank. Or if you're at the same bank, you can just do a simple transfer. So if you bank with TD Canada Trust and they bank with TD Canada Trust, don't even bother about getting a bank draft. You can just do a direct transfer at the teller together and confirmed funds, okay? I don't recommend doing bank drafts, but if you have to do a bank draft, that is what I recommend. The second is, do not do local pickups with PayPal. A lot of people don't know this. Scammers know this though. Scammers will tell you, oh, I'll pay you securely through PayPal and you could just drop off or I'll pick up locally. No, because PayPal will side with the buyer if you don't have tracking information. So that's how PayPal covers both sellers and buyers. If you do not have tracking information, confirmed delivery, they could do a chargeback and you would be out the funds as a seller because you couldn't provide tracking number as a seller because you picked it up. So here's what could happen. They will say, oh, I'm gonna send you, send me an invoice through PayPal, and then you do it and they'll pay it. You could give them the bag and they'll do the chargeback through their bank. And even if you withdraw the money from PayPal, PayPal will force that withdrawal from your account. So please be careful. Do not do PayPal unless you're transacting online. And there's other scams that happen to sellers through PayPal, but we'll get into that into another story. But just don't do it. We're gonna cover local meetups because there's so many tips I wanna offer you guys, but I have to break them down into segments, okay? So PayPal, do not do it for local meetups. How you can transact with cash. So if you want to sell your item and the buyer wants to offer you cash, you have to meet at a bank. Meet at the bank and tell them, this is how we're going to do it. I suggest we meet at the bank. Tell her the cash will simultaneously deposit into in my bank through the teller because the bank tellers, they have the counterfeit money detectors. And once it's successfully deposited, then you can simultaneously give your bag. Okay? Because don't try to detect counterfeit cash yourself if you don't know what you're looking for, because it happened to our clients as well. We've heard about it. They try to deposit cash later with the bank and the bank told them that this is counterfeit. The next is email transfers. Now, this is a very common scam. If you're getting an email transfer, make sure you have auto deposit set up. Auto deposit, it's easy to do with your bank, and for Americans, it's like Zelle. So you don't have to worry about this because Zelle is auto deposit. But money transfer, what the scam is they're sending you an email transfer, but it looks like an email transfer, but it's a fake email transfer. So it is stealing your banking information, your login and your password, or it is a money request in a different language, in normally French. So if you don't understand French, it looks like you're getting money deposited, but because it says like deposit receipt, something like that, because clients have told us they got scammed this way as well. And then they accept it, enter it into what bank they want, but it actually pulls out money. So make sure you have to avoid that, make sure you have auto deposit set up for email transfers. Now, other things that are unconventional is when you're doing local meetups, be suspicious of suspicious inquiries. And what I mean by that is they might be asking you, oh, do you have any other designer items? I'm looking to buy batches. I'm looking to buy them all. Oh, your items are so beautiful. Do you have any more? Those are very suspicious inquiries. No one is looking to buy your whole batch of collection items. They're trying to suss out, do you have more expensive designer items? And whether you bring it to the meetup and you may get robbed or followed home, or they just want to know if you have it at your house, these are very suspicious inquiries. So you have to be mindful to kind of suss out these suspicious inquiries and just don't meet up. Do not ever meet them at your house. If they said, oh, can I come pick it up at your house? Because here's what could happen. You might have a cheaper item, like a $20 kettle, available on Facebook Marketplace, but you have a $5,000 Chanel bag also listed on your Facebook Marketplace. They can see all your listings or on Kijiji or not eBay, but these kind of platforms. And they can see what you have and they could say, oh, I want this $20 kettle, but no, you have a lot of other nice designer items, and I would not want you to be burglarized because these are what the scammers are doing. They're trying to find out who has the designer items and where do they live. So be careful of that. If you're ever doing a local meetup, be careful being followed home. Don't go straight home, and always meet. This is one tip. If you're gonna do an exchange, ask them to meet you at a police station, because we're seeing people sell their iPhones and they're getting robbed right there at the location. And because they meet up in a parking lot, or they meet at a coffee shop, that it doesn't matter, because when they're inspecting the bag, it's not hard for them to just take your item, hop into their car and drive away, and then you don't know what you're doing. The red flag is if they say, no, I don't want to meet at a police station. That should be your immediate deal breaker. You're not meeting them up. It's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, let me see what other tips I have. Okay. this is my final tip. My final tip is I need you guys to all, if you collect designer bags, please take photos of your designer items with the serial number. And I know the newer Louis Vuittons, they have the microchip inside. They don't have serial numbers. Those are a little bit harder, but still take a photo, a very detailed photo of your item, and store it in the archive somewhere. Store it in like a private photo album, because in a rare case, and I hope this never happens to anyone, but it happened to other consignment shops that I've heard of. I've heard this happen to other clients. It helps with the police investigation to find these serial numbers that match your exact bag, because without that serial number, it is hard to pinpoint, is that your item? And as someone who works in the designer luxury consignment, we do not want to circulate stolen items. So if you have a list of all the bags that were stolen with a police file, we want to be on a lookout for that and find those scammers. Okay, that was all my tips. I'm so sorry if that was so long, guys. I hope these tips were helpful. Follow, subscribe, because I'm going to do safety tips on buying designer items online and more tips for you guys next video. Bye.